Yep. Yep. So you're saying one was lost in a warp storm just after the Emperor created him, and the other one they were caught in a match-fixing scandal and relegated to the Vauxhall League. Okay, that gives me plenty to work on. Thanks. And the real name of the Emperor? Well, it's more feminine than I was expecting. Yeah. Oh no, Alan, I've got to go. Alan, I've got to go. Bye. Sorry about that. Sorry. OPEC has written to me, apparently. I don't know what I've done to deserve that. OPEC says, are we going to read more about the Emperor of Mankind? Will he keep his elevated position to the reader, or will we get some insight on him, his feelings, his doubts? Sure, he's a superhuman being, but all of his sons show some human traits after all. I don't think we can write the rest of the Horus Heresy sequence without the Emperor playing a role on screen. He's already begun to do that. In the last 2 or 3 books, there's been more sort of on-screen Emperor time than we've known before. We can't really get to the end unless we come up with some really clever method of doing it. We can't really get to the end without doing that. But it won't be conventional. I think having Horus appear as a character from the beginning is about as conventional as character depiction of those really serious demigod characters are likely to get. So yes and no. Mr. Abnett, first a big thank you from everyone at the Serpent's Lair Alpha Legion Forum for writing Legion. Thank you. My pleasure, really. Second is the question, can you guess what it is about? Will we see another Alpha Legion book from you in the Heresy series? And just to settle a side bet, how tall is Alfarius? Measured in inches or centimetres, you can decide. He's yay big. I don't know. Alfarius is a... Let's put it this way, he's going to be a big guy because he's going to be at least as big as a Space Marine. He's not going to be an enormously big guy like some of the Primarchs are, sort of super big, because he can easily be mistaken for, when he's in armour, it's sometimes difficult to tell which of the Alpha Legion is Alfarius. That's been the whole point of the subterfuge. So I don't know. His height remains a mystery. In the Emperor's Palace, of course, there is a doorway with the different heights marked off as he grew up. Well, either side of the doorway, obviously, because... will we see another Alpha Legion book? Yes, I'd love to write some more. There's obviously a great deal more of that story to tell, and I look forward to getting back to them at some point. I think it's a sort of... I've got a feeling that you'll be reading a Horus Heresy book one day and you'll suddenly realise it's the next Alpha Legion book because it's snuck up on you by surprise. Rather than it being branded as the next Alpha Legion book. No one expects the Alpha Legion. Their chief weapons are fear, surprise, and a fanatical devotion to duty. Duke Leto says, what areas of 40k would you still like to cover? What areas of the Horus Heresy would you still like to cover? Well, the Heresy, in terms of history, there's so much stuff there. White Scars, I would say particularly, I want to do something with the White Scars. Another Heresy question. Do you think the closure will be given to the fates of many of the loyalist Primarchs such as Vulcan and Korax? Maybe. And should we expect the nature of the Emperor and his motives to be explained as the book progresses? If they will let us, I think is probably the answer to that. Finally, who would win, Chuck Norris or the Emperor? Well, that's obvious, Chuck Norris. Do you know what your next Horus Heresy novel will be about? Yes, I do. Can you give us so many hints? No, I can't. Sean, will Horus Lupercal ever get the sort of extensive background and character development that Magnus got in 1,000 Suns and Lorga got in the First Heretic? Or has it been decided to keep him ambiguous for now? No, there's no reason at all to suggest that he wouldn't get background expansion at some point. So maybe. Jason Abal said, as a long-time 40k fan, one of the great things about the Horus Heresy is seeing the Primarchs brought to life and interacting with the story. Would you mind sharing your thoughts on Sanguinius? What's it like to write him, and if you can, what's his relationship with Russ like? They actually get on quite well. Sanguinius is in some respects the most human, I think, of all the Primarchs. And he makes a point, I think, of engaging with them all on their own levels. I want to write some more about Sanguinius. I haven't written enough yet, but he's very interesting. Brendan asks, absolutely loving ADB's First Heretic, but he and Graham can't seem to agree on what Magnus's eye but not an eye might be a scar but not a scar covered mush looks like. Is it silky smooth, blemish free, absence of ocular orifice or a mangled mess. P.S. If it comes down to a fight, I suggest we let Graham use Snugger, as otherwise he wouldn't stand a chance. We all know Aaron's a nutter. I don't know. I think Graham would probably hurt Aaron anyway, to be honest. The eye. I think the eye is all things, to be honest. I think it's all of those things and other things besides, because not only is it a physical thing, it's a psychic thing. So it's a bit like Doctor Strange's Eye of Agamotto. I'm going to say Agamotto. I just did. So I'm not quite sure. Beyond that, I think it can be many different things. Is it an outward-looking eye? Is it an inward-looking eye? Is it an eye that's not really there? I don't know the answer, do I? It's clear from that answer. Richard Griffiths, I think the Heresy books have been real good. The morality swaps from whose viewpoint you were at. Some of the Primarchs who were traitors like Magnus and Lorgo you feel sorry for. Some of the lawyers are real scumbags. Can't wait for somebody to tackle Sanguinius. Is often referred to as the most humane and feeling Primarchs. Funnily enough, what was I saying about Sanguinius earlier on? I agree with that. That's not really a question, but I agree with that. Oh, he goes on. And the Emperor is not the benevolent force that people would have you believe if he's any of the tyrant or they all stepped up to stop. Yeah, more complicated than that, but yes, I think we can't get away from the idea that deep down, the Emperor is a far more complicated person than just you know, a benefactor of mankind, really. Jamie says, when Loken appears again in a Horus Heresy story, will it be pre-Istvan or post-Istvan? Well, Loken's allegedly dead. I've made no secret about the fact that he can't possibly be, because I wouldn't allow it. Although he looked very dead when we last saw him. I think one of Jim Swallow's forthcoming stories, which is The Return of Loken, probably gives that away. No, I don't know. Loken is a character who I think we will see some more of, and it will be chronological. Let's put it that way. Why do Hydras feature all the time in 30 and 40k? Well, they're one of the great symbols of classical mythology. They are the Alpha Legion symbol as far as I'm concerned. I don't know where else they crop up, although there are... I think the gun batteries are called Hydras because they've got lots of heads. I think it's as simple as that. Big Steve! Svelte Steve! Buff Steve! Are you now a fan of the Wolves? What questions, answers and experience did you come across in this journey? Is the beard homage to the Sons of Russ? Of course. Did you let loose the inner Viking or Wolf? Are you really a method writer? Now you have looked into Russ, who's the toughest Primarch. Yes, I certainly did. Sorry, the reason I looked around there was I was wondering where my axe had gone. I just wanted to prove that I had the method writing. My assistant is about to produce my. There we go. Yes, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, comely assistant. There we go. Yes, method writing. There's my axe. There's my beard. Do you think I got into the Viking spirit more or not? Yes, I think so. Splendid. Obviously, what you can't see is that from the waist down, I'm dressed in a loincloth. And later on, I intend to go upstairs and listen to the lamentation of the women. Steve also wonders if Santa Claus is real, but he spells it C-L-A-W-S, which I presume is the Santa Claus on Fenris, in which case he definitely is real. And you need to leave out a bit more than a mince pie. Buff Steve again, what's next for you in the HH series? Any thoughts about On the Khan? Well, as I said earlier, White Scars love to write something about that. The next novel, I will refrain from... Although I have mentioned before the title of the next Horus Heresy novel that I'm due to write next year, I will not say that now in case Black Library go, oh, you can't be teasing people with these kind of things. It's a biggie. Not that Prospero Burns isn't a biggie, but that's a biggie about a very specific event that everybody... That was sort of a Titanic novel. You know what you're getting. The next one, it's going to be, you know, asteroid collision of a novel because it's big, Prospero big, yet you've no idea what's going to happen in this one, and it's going to be great fun. And it's part of a Dalek master plan that Graham and Jim and Aaron and Gav and I are planning, so it's going to be what is I think technically referred to as Awesome Sauce.